यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jayo Vrindavan Dham Jayo Radhe Shyam Lalita Vishaka Jayo Radhe Shyam Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्री श्रीमद AC भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON VBT फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जयम विष्णुपाद श्रील गौर किशोर दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। जयम विष्णुपाद श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। जयम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ सद गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नमाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहु श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन मायपुर धाम की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय। गंगामयी यमुनामयी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ISKCON वर्तमान गुरु वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from chapter 1, Observing the Armies, text 44. Aho bata mahapāpaṁ kartum vyavasitā vayam yada rājya-sukha-lobhena hantuṁ sva-janam udyatāḥ. Aho bata mahapāpaṁ vyavasitā vayam yada rājya-sukha-lobhena hantuṁ sva-janam udyatāḥ. Aho bata mahapāpaṁ kartuṁ vyavasitā vayam yada rājya-sukha-lobhena hantuṁ sva-janam udyatāḥ.
kartum vyavasitā vayam yad rājya-sukha-lobhena hantum sva-janam udyatāḥ. Avat mahat pāpaṁ kartum vyavasitā vayam yad rājya-sukha-lobhena hantum sva-janam udyatāḥ. Avat mahat pāpaṁ kartum vyavasitā vayam yad rājya-sukha-lobhena hantum sva-janam udyatāḥ. Avat mahat pāpaṁ kartum vyavasitā vayam yad rājya-sukha-lobhena hantum sva-janam udyatāḥ.
Aho, alas, bata, how strange it is. Mahat, great. Pāpaṁ, sins. Kartum, to perform. Vyavasitā, have decided. Vayam, we. Yat, because. Rājya-sukha-lobhena, driven by greed for royal happiness. Hantum, to kill. Sva-janam, kinsmen. Udyatāḥ, trying. Purport, translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Purport. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many such instances in the history of the world. But Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarupyasya Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Welcome everyone. Thank you again for giving me an opportunity to come here and share my understanding. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Okay? Now, better. Okay. So, we are in the chapter 1, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, this is the last section and almost to the concluding verses of the chapter 1. So far, Arjuna have given many reasons why he doesn't want to fight. He gave reasons stating that, he's feeling compassionate to kill many people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Then he stated saying that I don't want any enjoyment because if I kill all the people on the battlefield who are my dear and near ones, I wouldn't enjoy benefit of them. And another reason that he gives, he's afraid of having sinful reactions, having bad karma. Then 4, the last, he stated that destruction of the family traditions will bring a havoc into the future generations. Why? Because the elders are killed, the family institution collapses, and women get polluted, there is unwanted progeny, and there is no social structure anymore. So now in this verse, it's a turning point where he's saying that I don't want to fight. And now he's stating a reason which we all can relate to. He's stating that, out of greed for this kingdom, I don't want to fight. And let other party, let they be prepared for it, but I am not ready to go for it. So here Arjuna is showing that he's challenged. He's challenged how the social mirror that is imposing on him, like what he's defined by. He's defined as a Kshatriya. He's meant to have a kingdom. He's meant to rule the kingdom. So he's defined by this social pressure. So similarly, we are also challenged by this social pressure. We identify ourselves with ambitions that we set up, the goals we have, and we identify based on our culture or the religion or the gender or the occupations or the status that we have in the society, or even we carry our bondages to the family, community and society that also defines us. And based on these identification, we also act. That pressure is on us that we act upon it. Now, Arjuna, although he has this pressure, he has taken the moral principle as the highest, and he's stating that I want to go against it. Although I'm a Kshatriya, I'm supposed to have a kingdom, I am supposed to rule, still I don't want to fight. Let the other party take happiness. Let they take the victory. I don't want to fight. Now, here he's feeling a sense of troubleness in his heart, and he's not able to judge what should be his course of action should be. So there is a crisis in his self-definition, right? We all undergo through this self-definition crisis. Why? Because we identify through many layers of identification that are put on us from the society. Now, these layers of identification are nothing but fickle and fallible. They're fickle because they're temporary. Why they're temporary? Either today or tomorrow they're gone. Right? Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says that either drastically with the time they're gone or traumatically they're gone. So either by voluntarily we will be giving up, or by force they're taken away from us. So they're fickle. And they're fallible because they don't establish who we are and our relationship with Krishna. So Arjuna is in the same struggle. He's not able to completely appreciate the definitions that he got so far. That he's a Kshatriya, he need to have kingdom, he need to fight this war. Now, interestingly, the people around us, or even us, we have this challenge, and because of this layers of identification, we also crave to have possessions in this material world, right? And these craving lead us to, push us to our greed. Greed to acquire, greed to conquer, greed to put other people down. And this is creating a heavy karmic consequences. So this is what Arjuna is able to see. Duryodhana is ready. Okay, let him create that heavy karmic consequences. But I don't want to do it. Because I, as a person, I have this moral principles, and out of my own greed, I don't want to create. I don't want to be succumbed for my cravings. So in one sense, Arjuna is right? Is he wrong? All his reasons seems very sensible. This morning I had an experience. I was distributing books. I was showing Bhagavad Gita and some small books to one person. And he got a Bhagavad Gita 2 years ago from one of our Sankirtan devotee, Jamuna Priya Mataji. And he said that I'm not able to understand this Bhagavad Gita. I said, what were some of your difficulties in reading Bhagavad Gita? Because I thought that maybe I can help him. Then he said that I cannot understand why Krishna is pushing Arjuna to fight against his guru. Why Krishna is pushing Arjuna to fight against his own kinsmen. Right? And why do I need to read this book? What will it bring any good to me? These were his questions. And I told him, so how far have you read the Bhagavad Gita? Have you finished the entire Bhagavad Gita? He said, no, I just started Bhagavad Gita first chapter and I lost interest. I don't want to read. So I asked him, what made you to come back to ISKCON again? He said that I want to find this person who gave me this Bhagavad Gita. He showed me the photo. That's how I recognized the Sankirtan devotee. I wanted to find out from her what made her to give me this Bhagavad Gita. I was like, that's nice. You come back in the evening because she's serving in the shop in the evening. You can come and speak to her. So this, when I was speaking to him, it made me appreciate this point that, people also value the moral principles. But now, moral principles are the final destination. Is it what the final thing that we have to take? If it's so, why is Arjuna being pushed by Krishna? And why we have to take instructions that Krishna has given to us? Right? Because tomorrow we may face again the same kind of person and we will be challenged. Now first we will understand what are moral principles. According to the dictionary definition, the moral principles means the principles that are sets which help us to discriminate between goodness and badness based off of an action, right? Whether this action is good or bad. And moral principles are also divided into two categories. One are absolute moral principles, one are relative moral principles. What are absolute ones? Absolute ones means which are universal and they are unchanged. In any place, in any circumstance, they stand the same. Like, for example, we should not kill anyone. Murder is a sin. So this is a moral principle that stands out the same. But there are relative moral principles which change from place to place, which differ from person to person based on their understanding, or country to country. That means that the more you can play out with these moral principles. So someone, like some of the examples you can think of, what can be a moral principle? Can someone think of a moral principle? Some examples?
Don't steal.
Sorry, don't steal. Okay, don't steal. Stealing is sin again. Yes. Any other moral principle? Respecting elders, respecting others, also moral principle. Yes. Any others? Being honest, right? Being tolerant, abiding to the laws and the regulations of the society. These are some of the kinds of moral principles. But now, the problem with... Now, what does these moral principles do to the humankind? First, let's understand this, then we'll see what is the problem with this. These moral principles help people to guide them to make better decisions. They will become good at judgments between good and bad. So it creates a sense of discrimination in people, right? But the problem with these moral principles is, as we just came to know, that they're relative moral principles. So not everyone will be sticking to the same principle. For someone who might be inclined to follow it, some people may not be inclined to follow it. And they can state it out and they can change it. And you see in the further verses in the next chapter, Krishna will be in 2:10. Sanjay is explaining how Krishna is smiling. He's having a big smile on his face. And in 2:12, Krishna is saying, asochan anvasochanstvam prajnavadasya bhasase gatasum agatasum cha nanu sochati panditaha. So he is calling Arjuna a fool, and he's saying that you are presenting all these statements as a learned person, but you yourself is grief-stricken. What is making you grief-stricken? If you're if you're very convinced about what you're putting forward, then you should be happy. But instead, you're mourning, you're grief-stricken. So a wise person does not lament for the living or dead. That means that you don't know the actual principle, that whatever you are stating is actually beneficial or not. Yourself is in doubt, but you are stating out with a lot of confidence, isn't it? Sometimes we also do to ourselves. We are not very convinced about it, but because we heard it so many times from so many years, it becomes like a fact that we speak out like a parrot. And then we think that it is what it is. But we are not satisfied, we are not happy about it. So this is the conditioning that Krishna is able to see in Arjuna. So now the same question comes. So why is Krishna pushing Arjuna to fight? Why do we need to follow Krishna's instruction? Why do we need to rectify in our thought process if we are morally right? Isn't it? So Krishna in 7.5, Krishna states, saying that, "O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy which comprises of my living entities. But what are they doing? They're struggling with their senses, which includes the mind, and their main business is exploiting the material nature. They're exploiting the inferior nature." And then in continuation, Krishna again, 13th chapter, he says, every jiva in this material nature is following the waves because they are attracted to these three modes of material nature, the gunas of this material nature. And in that journey, because of their attraction, and they make choices. And because of their choices, either they get into evil species or the good species. And then Prabhupada writes in the first paragraph of this purport, saying that, this is the nature of the transmigration, how the jiva is going from one body to another body. This is because he has very strong attachment for the material nature. And every time he is going into another material body, this jiva is thinking that I am actually the lord and the master of this material body. But actually what is he doing? He is actually the slave under the material nature, and then he is trying to exploit Krishna's energy. So Srila Prabhupada also says that the problem that if someone is not following Krishna's direction, the problem is that they don't understand who they are, and there is a crisis in their self-identification. And the self-identification is coming because they are identifying as a material body, not as a soul, not as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. Now, what is the problem with that? Having a material body means having an unnatural consequence that the soul is undergoing, which means that the soul is put in the network of so many identifications. And it's pushing, because of those identification, one is constantly drifted in the cycle of birth and death. And this whole thing is coming because of ignorance. What is ignorance? Ignorance means they don't know what is right, what is wrong. They don't know who they are. So that's why Krishna is condemning Arjuna's all reasoning. Now, even a morally right person, right, if given a circumstances to act for his self-interest, he would cross out that moral principle and will act for his self-interest. That's what Prabhupada is giving the example of someone killing his own brother, father and mother. Like we have seen when Aurangzeb is a good example. He wanted to take the throne, he killed his father, he put his family members into the jail. Same as Kamsa, right? Kamsa, he put Ugrasen in the jail, he put Devaki and Vasudev in the jail for his own self-interest, because he doesn't understand the connection between who he is, but he's acting only on the layers of identification. Now, from ignorance, what comes? Anyone? From ignorance, what comes? What comes from ignorance? Lust? Sorry? Illusion. But what does illusion do to us? Destruction, okay. But before destruction and after illusion. So from ignorance comes this inclination to lord it over the nature, which is due to the illusion, and we engage in sinful activity, right? And this sinful activity, it lays out the seeds in our hearts. And because these seeds are there, when they're manifested, it's called prarabdha karma. The reactions that we get on a daily basis, like, not daily basis, on the manifested. But there are also seedlings in our hearts which are not yet manifested. But with given favorable time and circumstances, these inclinations can push the living entity to engage in sinful activities. So it is called avidya cycle. From avidya, there is the bija, which is the seed. And from bija, there is an inclination, which is the kuta. Yeah, the inclination phase. And from inclination phase, someone will go and perform pāpa, the sinful activities. And from the pāpa, you get the manifested reactions of that sin, which is the prarabdha karma. If it's not manifested, it is still there, that is the aprarabdha karma. But someone comes to Krishna and accepts Krishna's direction. What happens? You will put an end to all the cycle, because you are becoming, from avidya you are turning towards vidya. That means turning towards the knowledge about who we are and our relationship with Krishna. So there is an end for the whole cycle, because we engage in the activities which will remove this avidya process. Now when Krishna says sarva dharma parijjaja mamekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma suchaha. So papa here, sarva papa, what does papa here means? It's not one sinful activity that we performed yesterday or day before yesterday or one lifetime before. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the author describes it is pataka, mahapataka and atipataka. There's so many sinful actions and reactions that are awaiting that Krishna is going to take it away. Whatever we are getting is just a token of the reactions, so that there is a rectification in us to go back to Krishna. Now there is a beautiful conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj in the 6th canto when discussing about the Ajamil pastime. Parikshit Maharaj has just finished hearing about the 5th canto, the hellish planets. Now Parikshit is thinking that what will happen to all these souls who are stuck in the hellish planets? Will they ever get out of these hellish planets? Then Sukadeva Goswami is a very good teacher. He wanted to see what will be some of the answers. He knows that Parikshit is a very intelligent student. So he starts to give him not straight away the right answer, but he gives different approaches to the question. So when he asked, how can a living entity be free from this? So the first solution Sukadeva Goswami offers is, yeah, they can perform some atonement. By performing atonement based on the Shastra, they will be freed from the sinful activity. Then Parikshit said that, then how come? The atonement itself is not going to clear their hearts. It's just like an elephant, it takes bath in the pond, and because the heart is not cleaned of the living entity, they'll come back and do the same sinful activities. So the elephant goes into the pond, takes bath. When it comes to the shore, it sees the sand and puts the sand over. So this kind of process is not very good. Then you suggest something else. What else is the best? Then Sukadeva Goswami says that maybe if they become very knowledgeable, if they use jnana, and then they will be able to mitigate these problems. Then Parikshit says that, okay, you are burning the bamboo tree. So for the time being, they are able to do it. But because the bamboo tree roots are very deep in the ground, the jnana, the knowledge has removed the bamboo trees from the top, but not from the roots. So, because the knowledge is so dry enough, the jnana yoga is dry enough, they can act to a certain point only. So they cannot remove this sinful proclivity from the hearts. So suggest something else. Then Sukadeva Goswami says, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya Vasudeva parayana agham dhunvanti karsnena niharam iva bhaskara. He says, only a rare person who has adopted to complete bhakti yoga, he can uproot the weeds from the sinful action, that there is no possibility to revive them. Just like when there is early rays of the sun, the fog is cleared. On the foggy days in the winter time, the sun is not yet out completely. But when the sun rays are just started to come, the fog is being cleared, right? It's just those rays are enough to clear. So the bhakti helps us to clear the sinful activities. This is a secondary aspect. This is a side effect of the bhakti. The main fruit of the bhakti is we get love of Krishna and we are going back home, back to Godhead. So anyone who engages in pure devotional service, their hearts will be completely cleaned, that they don't have any proclivity to perform sinful activity. So, just one more point. Yeah. So what is Bhagavad Gita doing to us? Why we have to follow Krishna's instructions? Because Bhagavad Gita is taking us to the point we are addressing our eternal and factual self-definition. That who we are and what is our relationship. We see, we hear and we witness the lives of the acharyas, the lives of the devotees in the pages of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives us inspiration to follow in the footsteps, to take up to the bhakti. Otherwise, just having the moral principles is like building a house on the sand. You know, anytime the house can drift away. It's not on a solid ground, right? Because today I may feel right, but tomorrow I may not feel the right based on the circumstances. Although Arjuna is right that one should not be succumbed to one's greed, but what is the cure of this greed? The cure of this greed can be coming only when someone takes to bhakti. When someone takes up to bhakti, they act in the real picture. They act on the real selfless platform to offer, a true protection, true redevelopment of the human society. So what are our acharyas are doing? What are the shastras doing? What is the guru doing to us? They're reviving our lost connection with Krishna and helping us to drive back to home, to back to Godhead. And in the 11th canto, it is described the most intelligent people. They worship who? They worship the Sankirtan Yagna. They perform this congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra because Krishna is coming in the form of as a devotee, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is distributing this love of Godhead in the most easy way, most sublime way. And by this, one's hearts will be cleansed. Chetudarpanam Arjuna, one's hearts will be cleansed, and so slowly we will be able to rise above these weaknesses of heart. So why we need to be pushed by Krishna, just like Arjuna? Because otherwise, just having our base on the moral principles is not going to bring any good in a long run. Today we may be acting on very good basis, but tomorrow if the circumstance is not favorable to me, then I won't act on it. But as a devotee, you will be always acting morally right. Like another example from the 9th canto is Rantidev, right? Rantidev, he was fasting for so many days, and then a Brahmana came, so he gave the food away. Then he had left out with some other portion of food. Then another person came, then he gave away that left out food. Then he was thirsty, then another Sudra came, so he gave away the water. Then the dog came, then he wanted to cut his meat and then give. So he's actually pushed by the urges of this material body, right? But because he's a devotee, he didn't give up his moral principles. As a devotee, we know we won't be giving up our moral principles at any time. It actually builds our strength to hold upon these moral principles. Yeah. So, although here Arjuna is expressing some weakness of heart, but this is for our goods, so that Krishna could speak the entire Bhagavad Gita to benefit us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Are there any questions or comments or anything that you want to add? I'll be very grateful. Forgive me for my shortcomings. Yeah.
Arjuna is supposed to be the eternal associate of Krishna.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So how is it that Arjuna forget that transcendental knowledge of Gita? And Krishna is giving him the transcendental knowledge?
He is covered by Krishna's energy, his internal energy, so that we will be benefited. Because you see in the 4th chapter, Krishna himself says why he is speaking this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Because he wants to establish the lost chain of that knowledge. It is coming in the chain of disciplic succession. But now, with the time, it's broken. So he wants to re-establish it. So Krishna is very eager that people have this orientation towards bhakti. You know, Krishna is not in favor of waging a war in the Kurukshetra. He's not interested in killing so many people. But what he's interested is to establish a society, a Krishna conscious perfect society, where people have the center as Krishna. Because this material world is not the final destination for us, right? Our real destination is spiritual world, is going back to home, back to Godhead. But because we are disoriented, we need a system so that we can correct our lives in such a way that we can naturally come to that inclination to aspire for bhakti. So that is the society that Yudhishthir Maharaj can establish. Whereas Duryodhana, he was envious of Krishna. If he is envious of Krishna, why would he establish any of his principles? So this is the reason.
Because of Krishna's energy, actually.
Sorry?
Because of Krishna's energy. Arjuna forget that.
Yes, yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
I was told that even though we might start chanting Hare Krishna,
Mm-hmm.
but throughout this lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
we still have to endure the results of our past karma.
Mm-hmm.
So while we are still enduring that,
Mm-hmm.
while still trying to chant Hare Krishna,
Mm.
how can one develop the tolerance for the karmas that we are going through in this lifetime?
Yeah, Prabhupada gives this example that, you know, like now the fan is moving for a long time, but then you switch off the fan. So it's still moving, but the speed of the fan is reduced much to greater extent. Soon it will be reduced. We need to have a little bit prarabdha karma, because you see this body is actually the prarabdha karma. You know, we use this body in service of Krishna so to achieve spiritual perfection, right? So this prarabdha karma also we are engaging in Krishna's service. But by chanting more, by chanting attentively, by chanting more and following the process that is set by the Guru and the Guru Parampara, we no need to worry about how much sinful baggage I have. It's inconceivably, it's taken away. You know, as we are moving along, it's very inconceivable that how much is taken away. What we are enduring is a small fraction of it. Although at times it seems very unbearable, but to the amount that we needed to suffer is very little. So we need to take more shelter of the Vaishnavas and the Shastra. That will help us to tolerate. That's why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, after he said, Dehinosmi yata dehi komaram yavanam jara, tatra dehantara prapta dhiras tatra muhyati. And what is the next verse he says? Matra spashastu kaunteya. In happiness and distress, take these principles of tolerance. Because this tolerance is needed. Because it will take us some time to come to that actual understanding of who we are and live in that realization. That's my understanding.
So it's more like mercy rather than karma as well.
Yeah? Anything else or?
Mataji, will you please kindly tell something more about prarabdha karma?
Prarabdha karma is the reactions of our past actions, past sinful actions. So that is manifested.
Actions of this life or actions of our previous lives?
It could be both. Say for example, someone came and slapped you, right? And you immediately slap the other person, right? Or you slap someone and then someone slapped you. So the karma has come back very quickly. But another example is this body. This body is the prarabdha karma. Why we have certain kind of skin color or whatever we have, that's all because of the prarabdha karma. It's not by chance that I'm in a woman's body, or not by chance you're in a man's body. Because we had that inclination, karmana daiva netrena, right? I have this inclination to enjoy this body. And Krishna sanctioned that body. So I got this female material body, and you got male material body. So yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If there are no yes, Prabhupada.
If Krishna gives Bhagavad Gita for us,
Mm-hmm.
and he defeat Arjuna to fight with relationship, with his relationship, how we can compare this in our life?
How we are also fighting every day. We are also fighting, but not on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but in every day. We struggle with our minds. We have the problems of lust. We have these problems of anger, greed. Yeah, we show demonic tendencies. We are under the 3 modes of material nature. So we can take all these, how this is all affecting us, right? And how we are driven by the false ego, right? And how we have to take shelter of Krishna, right? So we can see where are we at, and what should we be doing, and where we can go. This is what Bhagavad Gita about. How to live, how to love, and how to let go. These are the 3 things that Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. What are the things that we have to let go? How do we need to live? How to love Krishna? But we're also going through the struggles. Yeah. If
Compare with our eternal happiness.
yes, yes. I mean, just the fact that, like 7.5, are we not exploitative in nature? We are. What are we doing to the Mother Earth right now? This is a gross, big example. Minutely, microscopically, we can observe in our own lives. But, on a whole thing, only the human beings are wrecking the Earth planets. There is no other species which is more dangerous like human beings. Right? You have seen the times during the COVID. We are all locked down. We are sitting inside the houses. But the whole earth is recovering. It was flourishing. Right? Yes, of course, the virus has brought about great destruction. But still, there were places where the unseen flora, unseen fauna, they were, growing. So this is our mentality. If we are correct in our mentality, then we will be able to, we won't have any problems. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. So if there are no questions, we will end up here. Please do forgive me for my shortcomings. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila